Hey YouTube. I know, it's nighttime and I'm in my jammies. No makeup. My son told me it's good to be vulnerable. So, one of my closest friends, she just lost her son. How do you even... How do you even respond to that? You don't. There are no words. And you guys know that. The people that stop by and visit my little audience. There just aren't words. We've grieved here on this end. My friend lives across the United States from me and asked me a question about the time frame for grieving. Was told that months 3 through 6 might be the hardest. And what my experience with that was, well, when I lost Evan, month 1 was my birthday, so that was hard. Month 2, his sister got married, and he was supposed to be the best man. Big trigger. Going into month 3 was his birthday. Whew. The following month was his big sister's 21st birthday. She had to spend that alone without him. Didn't get to have any of the dreams that they had always talked about. Following month was Mother's Day. My first Mother's Day without him. Oh my gosh. Ooh-wee. But I had to remember that I had other children, and it wasn't about me, it was about them, and that they wanted to celebrate me and my surviving mother. She deserved a nice Mother's Day. And then the following month, Father's Day, making sure that that was okay. And then we had Independence Day, which was, big family memories. August was okay. September was okay. October was okay. Thanksgiving. The first big holiday. I mean, we had Easter, but he wasn't one that was real big on Easter. There were big memories, him putting olives on his fingertips, and he always ate all the deviled eggs. But Thanksgiving was his favorite. And my sister-in-law said something. We all went around the table and said what we were grateful for. And if you're watching this, if you watch this, you know that there's been forgiveness. We've talked about it. We've moved on. And there was no malintent whatsoever. And absolutely she should have said this, but she said that what she was grateful for was that her children were alive. And she immediately swallowed her words, as though she was ashamed. Well, she should be grateful. And I think she was just ashamed because she said it in front of me. Whereas I was grateful that we made it through that first year, for the most part. And then Christmas. He passed 3 days before Christmas the prior year. We just could not do Christmas. And when I say we, I mean everybody. My entire family. The very first Christmas, like 3 days after he passed, we all just kind of went through the motions like zombies. We were all in shock, and the trees were already up. His presents that hadn't been wrapped remained halfway wrapped. Whereas the first Christmas where we were all cognizant of the fact that he was no longer with us, I did a lot of praying and journaling. And in my belief system, I was doing my best to be grateful to the Lord that he rescued Evan, because this was 2020. And I was grateful that he was not here to experience COVID. And we bought a tiny little tree from Lowe's. Tiny little tree. No ornaments. And we just sat on the counter. And we decided to go to a cabin. And we had a little family campfire, if you will, where we all just said nice things about him. And we decorated the inside of the cabin, not the tree. And for Christmas, we've always kind of been non-traditional anyway when it comes to gifts. Our kids would receive one thing they wanted, one thing they needed, and one thing to bless someone else. Occasionally, we would go a little bit overboard, if we could, with some extra gifts. But that year, I searched for a child that needed sponsors, and very intentionally picked a child with the same exact birth date as my son. And we presented the kids with Peter from Uganda. And we sponsored Peter. And it was so healing. We wrote letters to Peter, and we sent money to Peter. And anytime there was something going on where I missed Evan horribly, I would write to Peter. And is that normal or healthy? I don't know, but it helped me. You know, I had already accidentally bought Evan Valentine's Day chocolates. I had accidentally gone through the motions of setting an extra table setting for him. I had broken down in Dollar General out of nowhere. I had done the things where the bubble pops and it's unexpected. I had been through the motions of the adrenaline dump where your stomach is out of nowhere, you have an upset stomach. I had been through the process of not wanting to get out of bed, or, you know, the part of grief where people think, wow, she's acting very normal. This is strange. Or the parts where you walk around and you're a little too calm and people are wondering if you're on something. Or you're smiling too much and people are like, is she even grasping that her child just died? You know, I had already been through all those phases. And sometimes they would come back and smack you right upside the head out of nowhere. And I've never really shared that with anybody, what that part of the grieving process was like. And I found a lot of people telling me that I would stare off. And I would, just thinking about Evan. And I found what was most healing for me was speaking his name every single day. And I still do. Every day. He was so amazing and brought so much joy to so many people's lives. How do I help my dear friend process this? You guys know about the Pain Club. We've talked about that. Nobody should have to join this club. Nobody. We are not supposed to have to bury or cremate our children. It is the wrong order. It doesn't make sense. Never in a million years would any of us expect this. So again, I remind you, my little audience out there, hug your child every day. Tell them you love them, because no fight or mistake or decision they make is too big to make them feel a detachment from you. So always be there, regardless of how they pass, so that you know the last words you say to them, they know they were loved. And that about wraps it up. So, love to all. Good night.